Okay, we live now. Let me see. Let's allow some people to come in.
Illinois ain't got no defense.
I know.
Like, at all.
At all. I got a damn push on the first half. They let them freaking score right now. Just stupid ass. Terrible defense. They could have just freaking fouled them. They had a foul to give. Like, why you didn't foul them? We got a few people in. There's a couple more people come inside. I'm gonna retweet the show real quick. Did you tweet the show out, Raheem?
I gotta tweet it. I didn't tweet it earlier because the Ringer people be tripping. But
okay, no worries.
Yeah, I always try to make sure because once Bills see too much, it'd be like,
got you. Y'all know how it is. You on the contract, baby.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna retweet it right now, and then we'll start. We'll kick off the show. We need to wrap in an hour because we got basketball to bet. All right, let's kick it off, man. What's good, wagering world? It's your boy 5 Star in Vegas, broadcasting live from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. This is the wagering world, and I got my two guys in here. First of all, I got my co-host. He's been with me since day one, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today?
Man, I'm excited to be back. It's been a little while, and it's been quite the break for me. So how are you doing today?
Man, super blessed, man. It's a beautiful day in Las Vegas. Looking outside, man, all I see is sunshine. I see mountains, and I see palm trees, so I can't complain at all, Spread. And then, of course, we got my brother in here, man, a friend of the show and a friend of mine from the Ringer, Raheem Palmer. How you doing, Raheem?
Man, life is good. Can't complain, man. Just happy to be on here. It's been a minute since we jumped on, so I'm happy to be back.
Awesome, man. Hey, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. We've been away. We've been on vacation, and so much has happened in the sports world, man. The blessing about having, your own show is that we could take long, extended breaks. And me and Spread have been both enjoying life and, catching up on some things because, man, football season is such a grind, as you guys both know, man. It's every day. It's all day long. So after the Super Bowl, man, it's always good for us to get away. Spring break is next week. So I'm going to take the kids, and we're going to probably, do a little lightweight traveling right here on the West Coast somewhere, man. So as you said, life is good, man. Let's catch up on a couple of the things that have been going on in the sports world. Let's first start off with you guys are both NBA guys, right? I'm not an NBA guy. Now, I know the history of the NBA. I know the game. I understand the game. I just don't like how they play it currently, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think? We're going to start with, I guess, first, Raheem. Is Bam Adebayo's 83 points valid?
Yeah, it's valid. I mean, when you watch the game, honestly, like the first 70 points were all real. It's like he had 43 in the first half, and he was really spazzing out. I know he took a lot of free throws, but they were hacking him. And then if you look at, a lot of these 70, 80-point games, once teams, coaches, players, they realize they're on the verge of history, they start chasing. So you go back to the last 7 points of Kobe's 81-point game, the Lakers were up 15, 16, 17 points, and he's at the free throw line for all of them. So he was chasing history as well. And you could say the same thing about Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker's was the worst because, they're down 13, 14, 15 points, and he's chasing 70. They're fouling people to get it. And then if you go back to Wilt, and none of us have seen this game, but by all accounts, the Warriors were actually fouling the Knicks to try to get extra possessions, and then the Knicks were fouling the Warriors. So that Wilt couldn't score. And you kind of saw the same thing with Bam. I mean, when he gets to 77, he's just launching threes. So it's valid at the end of the day. I think the reason why we're seeing so much criticism is largely because it's Bam Adebayo. You got a guy whose career high was previously 32 points, a guy who doesn't even average 20 points a game doing this. And Kobe is so beloved. Like I always say, he has a stan base which rivals Beyonce.
Yeah,
Tupac, Jay Dilla, Eminem, Nicki Minaj. So nobody can think objectively. Like you got Ice Cube's son talking about they rigged the game for them to surpass Kobe, and it's like a local broadcast is gonna they're rigging a local broadcast from Bam Adebayo to pass Kobe. Like, come on, give me a break.
No one was watching the game until you texted me. I didn't even know that he was close. You was like, man, Bam had 70 points. And I'm like, Bam Adebayo? Remember I texted like Bam Adebayo with like 5 question marks and the exclamation point. Did you watch that game spread? Did you go check it out, or did you only see like the highlights on ESPN?
So I was following it, and we talked a little bit before the show. You asked me if I've been betting NBA. I've actually been playing NBA DFS as well. And I actually played Bam that day, and my lineup didn't even cash because he was such an obvious play. Going into the game, right, with the amount of people missing, it was already like, okay, he's going to get a little more usage than usual. So I was checking. I'm like, oh, my team should be pretty good. And I didn't even have any snowflakes, and I still didn't cash. Shows you what an obvious play was today. I would add on, but I think Raheem hit it on the head. It wasn't necessarily bad as far as like fraudulent, but yeah, I think there is just a little kickback because he's not, one of the great scorers of our generation, right? We're not going to be looking back. Oh, I remember watching, I got to see Bam Adebayo live, right? Things like that. So that's probably where the main pushback comes from.
And I was knocking a little bit just because I saw at the end they were doing the fouling when I switched over after I found out how many points he had. And I'm like, damn, they fouling and up 20 points. But Raheem made some really valid points that we've seen these type of situations before in the NBA where teams go out their way to make a certain stat occur and happen. And I would never forget Kobe Bryant, the late, great Kobe Bryant. My wife and I, we were eating at, oh man, where were we at? It's a place we've been so many times before. We were in Houston though, but it's a brand. It's here too, Raheem. If I could think of it, I'll say it a little bit later. But it's in Red Rock as well. It's one of those sports bar type situations. We were in there having dinner. Ended up running to my boy Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas and his dad was sitting like right by us, and we all were watching the Kobe Bryant last game, his farewell game.
He scored 60.
It was a joke the same way because they were just like going out their way to feed him. He's out there. My wife was like, he's laughing at himself because Kobe just knew, like, I don't got it anymore. Like, this is so forced. But, I agree with you guys. It's valid because end of the day, they couldn't stop him from getting the 70, and he was getting the buckets early. Late, they tried to go for history. A lot of people, as Raheem pointed out, are going to be upset because I know I'm a Kobe fan. He has a lot of real fanatics out there, especially in the LA area, man, and overseas, man. That they live and die with Kobe Bryant. So it was going to definitely be some pushback, especially when it's not a known score. I think if it's a guy like Ant, guy like Luka, it's a lot less, pushback on the situation. Let's talk a little bit of NFL since it's free agency real quick before we get off into these games. We're going to fly through these college football games. We're going to just give you who we think is going to win and why real briefly. We're not going to go long and extended on those. But NFL free agency is here. A lot of big moves, man. Kyler Murray to Minnesota becomes official today. And Spread, you and I have different on Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy since the day we started this show, right? We've been on the show for 5 years. And Raheem, that's like one of our things. Like he keeps an eye on Kyler Murray because he thinks that I think he's a little overrated, and I think that Brock Purdy's a little overrated, so I keep an eye on him, and we kind of go back and forth on that. Now, Spread, Kyler has no excuses, right? He's going over to Minnesota. He has KOC. He has the great Brian Flores. I view this situation for Kyler Murray. I think he's going to be extremely successful. I actually laid +6. I took +625 this morning on Minnesota to win the division while it's still, inflated. Because if you look at that division, you got the Bears coming back. We know Caleb Williams, but at the end of the day, they've only done it one time. So I don't know if the Ben Johnson effect is going to be permanent. Detroit, they're losing players, trading away players, and then you got Green Bay. Like, how much do we truly believe in Jordan Love? We know Matt LaFleur is a really good coach, but you got Jordan Love over there. So I think it's great value in the Minnesota pick. If you look at Kyler Murray's career, this is very similar to what happened with him in high school. High school, he went to A&M because he was trying to look out for Kevin Sumlin, play for his guy who ended up coaching him at Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury. So he chooses A&M, right? He's the most winningest quarterback in Texas history. That's unbelievable to say. All the great quarterbacks Any quarterback from Texas will tell you the number one quarterback ever in high school was Kyler Murray. He won the most. All right. So, and he started from his freshman year. He goes to A&M. He sits the bench. When he gets in, everyone's like, oh, man, he's a bust. He's not going to work over here. People don't know that Kyler Murray's dad, Kevin Murray, was a top quarterback in college at A&M. He just came at the wrong time when black quarterbacks were still dealing with, getting kind of messed over by the NFL, so they didn't draft him. But he should have been drafted. But he took that and used that as motivation to make sure that his son was going to be completely ready to play as a pro. And he also mentored other quarterbacks in the Dallas area. So he understands the game. He's taught that to Kyler since he was a little kid. So Kyler's at A&M like, man, Kevin Sumlin in here drunk. Everybody paid for the meetings. These guys don't have it together. I got to get the hell out of here because he needs structure. He goes to OU, goes under Lincoln Riley, a real program. And what does he do? He wins the Heisman Trophy. They get to the national semifinals. I think we're going to see the same thing in the NFL with him. He went to a bum-ass organization. Arizona is not known for winning anything. I know they had the one Super Bowl year with Larry Fitzgerald and Kurt Warner, but that was just, a one-off. They've traditionally been a bad team. The Bidwells have owned the team since they were in St. Louis, and nothing has changed. They're just like Cincinnati Bengals. They have these times where they draft really good players and they, might make a little splash, but at the end of the day, the organization is bad and it starts from the top. I think that with them having a much more sounder organization and most of all better coaching with Kevin O'Connell, finally he has a real OC, to coach him up. I think he's going to do really well in Minnesota, and I also think that Brian Flores is the top defensive coordinator in the entire league. So looking forward, what do you think, Spread, about Kyler Murray in Minnesota?
Man, I'm going to have to jump on the internet and delete some of these old YouTube videos where I was saying I didn't think he would ever do any good. What a landing spot there. And I'm sure Justin Jefferson's got to be happy too. And one thing that I think, and we've seen this before, there's no patience now in the NFL. And I think that the Vikings were smart to just move on from McCarthy right off the bat. I mean, regardless of what you saw in the film or potential or this and that, listen to the way Justin Jefferson talks about him. I mean, usually these guys really support their quarterback regardless, and he didn't even bother. And I think that shows what he's seen in practice, how he feels in the game, and it's time to move on. And, McCarthy's going to be successful. He's going to need to be a backup, but it's going to have to be a new situation. It feels like already because, but props, for them moving on. It's almost like, the situation Murray inherited where Josh Rosen was drafted by Arizona and he wasn't it. Right. And Kyler obviously ended up being an upgrade. And I think, in the end of the day, we can say that you're right. It's organizational failures and nobody except for maybe, the most elite of the guys is going to succeed in an organization like, Arizona or Cincinnati, which is why I continue to give Joe Burrow credit because winning in Cincinnati is, 100 times harder than winning in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I might have to be scouring the internet and deleting some of those old videos of our shows there, 5-star.
Man, I was doing a little research. I think Colin might have said it as well. They said since 2010, I want to say the only quarterbacks who are with the franchise that drafted them were Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and one more person. Was it Joe Burrow?
It was Allen and Jackson. It's from 2010 to 2019. I saw that same stat. There's 4 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round that are on the team that drafted them.
That's right.
I mean, that includes,
Allen,
Carson
that's
Wentz.
Crazy. That's a crazy stat.
But so that tells you, right, Raheem, that we're having a serious quarterback development problem. And if you guys watch this show enough, me and Spread, we always talk about this. I talk about how big coaches, look at Malik Willis. Malik Willis just made so much money. He should send half his check to Matt LaFleur because Matt LaFleur tore out all of that mess that he was dealing with and showed him how to play quarterback. He had never been coached right in college, of course, because Hugh Freeze is a bum. He doesn't know anything. He finally got the right coaching, and now look, he's a QB1 in Miami, and we can see his true talent. What do you think about the move? And does Minnesota, I know you're a big futures guy, does Minnesota have a chance to win the NFC North? Was that a good bet by me? You hit big last year with Chicago. Tell them about that before you get off into the Minnesota.
Yeah, so I actually, that whole division I kind of nailed because I had Chicago to win the NFC North before the season started, like 6-1 or something like that, and then more like in the seaseason, I got them like 9-1 to win the division as well. I also took the Detroit Lions before the season to miss the postseason at 3-1. So I think I nailed that division, but we're on the same page here, and I've been like calling for this on the Ringer Gambling Show for weeks. Kyler Murray to Minnesota. Because when you look at Minnesota last year, they went 9-8 with J.G. McCarthy. And J.G. McCarthy was not good at all. He had a 57% completion percentage, and he turned the ball over. He had 12 interceptions to 11 touchdowns. So to go 9-8 with that tells you that Kevin O'Connell is truly one of the special coaches in this league. And then you go back 2 seasons before. Matter of fact, go back to the season before that. You take Sam Darnold and you go 14-3. And that was the first time we've seen Sam Darnold play productive football in the NFL. You go back to the season before that, Joshua Dobbs comes up off the street. Like they just found this guy off the street. And then next thing you know, this guy is winning multiple games with Josh Dobbs. So that tells you how special this guy is as a head coach in this league. So now you get Kyler Murray. And I think the things that people don't realize is that there's a difference between getting Kyler Murray for $200 million. And there's a difference between basically having Kyler Murray for free. They essentially have Kyler Murray for free at this point in time. So, like, you can't beat that. Like, that is one of the biggest bargains that you could possibly have. And we talk about the NFL. One of the biggest things in the NFL, what do you want? You want a quarterback on a rookie deal because that allows you to build your roster around them and not spend a lot of money on a quarterback. Well, they're essentially in that same situation here, except for now you got a veteran quarterback on not necessarily a rookie deal, but you're not paying him big money. So now you can spread that money around. And then if you look at the rest of the roster, you got a guy in Brian Flores, who is a monster defensive coordinator. Like, he's a big part of the reason why they won 9 games last year. So I love this move for the Minnesota Vikings. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to take Kyler Murray to the next level. And ultimately, if it doesn't work out, you don't lose much. So I like this one. I like your future bet. I think you're on the money. There's no way in the world Minnesota should be 6-1 to win the NFC North.
Yeah, I agree completely on that. We had some more free agency moves. One was your team, Spread, that's right here in Vegas with me and Raheem. That's the Vegas Raiders, who I'm going to bet their total. I think that they're going to go over their total on wins. I think that Clint Kubiak, Mendoza, and what they're putting together over there with Genty, them getting a great offensive lineman from the Ravens and everything, that they're building something nice over there for a quick rebuild. And we know that the NFL is the one league, one professional league that they turn it over. You can turn it around and overnight, as we saw with the Patriots and the Seahawks, not even making the playoffs last year and end up going to the Super Bowl. What do you think about Max Crosby deal getting deferred by the Ravens, Spread, and instead they end up getting Hendrickson right there from in the division from Cincinnati, and now Max isn't for trade again? What do you think about this, Spread?
Yeah, pretty dirty deal there by Baltimore here, but in hindsight, I guess it was within the rules. I think they had a pretty good idea of what we were doing. We'll tie up the market on this guy. If we don't get Hendrickson, we'll stick with him. Otherwise, he's right off of surgery. It's going to be real easy to fail him on the physical. So I don't know. As a Raiders fan, I'm not too upset. Probably for the long term of the franchise, the trade would have been better. But it's not like when Randy Moss was on the Raiders, he wasn't even trying. I mean, Crosby goes all out every single play. He's going to be a great leader and worth the salary. So it'll be interesting to see how things go moving forward. Supposedly the Ravens did this before, I think with a wide receiver named Ryan Grant, 8 years ago or something. So it'll be interesting to see if people are hesitant to trade with them moving on. But I'm not really too mad. It just feels like they kind of played the game correctly, right? I mean, might have been a little unethical, but it was within the rules.
Yeah, I think that they said they were actually trying to get both of them. That's what I was hearing, that they were actually trying to get both players, Hendrickson and Crosby. But I know that they said the next day Max Crosby showed up at 6 a.m. Max Crosby is Vegas. Look at the type of dude he is.
Yeah.
You ever hung in Vegas, you see a million Max Crosbys running around the city. He doesn't want to leave here, man. He probably was pissed off with the organization. I think they said he doesn't like, as most people don't, he doesn't like the guy who comes over there with Brady, whatever the fitness dude is. He said
is it Alex Rodriguez? What's his name?
Alex something, but that's him.
Yeah.
Alex Guerrero, is that right? Alex Guerrero.
Alex Guerrero, that's it.
Yeah, Alex Guerrero.
I mistake him with the Hall of Fame third baseman.
He's pissing off Max Crosby. You know, Brady probably come there and tell him, "Hey, Max, you got to stop smoking blunts and all that type of stuff."
It's probably worse than that. It's probably like, you got to stop eating bread.
Right, yeah. No tomatoes for you. So I think that Max is like, now that he gets a second view of this, he's like, you know what? Let me stay right here in Vegas and stay in my beautiful house. I know where he lives at up in Apex. Like, let me stay in my house and let me kind of see what's up this rebuild, because you don't want to live in Baltimore, bro, coming from Vegas. I'm telling you. He might win a Super Bowl over there, but boy, the lifestyle is not going to be the same. What's your thoughts on Max Crosby and the Ravens and the Raiders, Raheem?
Honestly, I got the sense that the Ravens wanted Hendrickson first overall. And I don't get the sense that, like, I don't know if I've ever seen, outside of like Mark Williams with the Lakers, a team just completely throw out a trade because of a physical. I have never really seen that. So I just kind of get the sense that the Ravens, realized that Hendrickson was available and said, you know what, we want him instead. And you got to remember, they just had to pay Hendrickson, and they paid him less than Jalen Phillips, who went to Carolina, and they no longer had to give up 2 first-round picks.
Right.
So, I mean, you could look at Hendrickson. I know he was injured last year, but in the last 5 seasons, his 74.5 sacks ranks 3rd in the NFL since 2020. So even with an injury shortened last year, he had 4 sacks and 23 pressures. So he's a game record. You don't have to give up 2 first-round picks. You can pay him a little bit below market value. And if he stays healthy, this is going to be a steal. So I think the Ravens, I mean, as grimy as it was, I think they made the right decision. Now, when it comes to Max Crosby, I think ultimately, like you said, I mean, he's the face of the Raiders. So it kind of made sense for him to just kind of stay there. And then obviously, after the word is out that, you fail your physical, whether he did or he not, I don't know how many other teams are willing to, part with that. And then you're asking for 2 first-round picks. Maybe, I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe he gets traded at the deadline if the Raiders aren't good. But I think it makes sense to keep him right now.
Yeah, I think that the Raiders, that this might be a blessing in disguise for them, because it's hard to find a Max Crosby. And as I said, I think that they're going to be ready to win a lot sooner than they are anticipating, especially if they're able to get their hands on Mendoza, because Mendoza is one of those type of quarterbacks that I look at him the same way that I looking at Shedeur Sanders coming out. When you got a guy who can complete passes and doesn't miss the layups, I always like them. The guys who can complete the 10 and outs easy, they can complete the flat routes easy, and that's how Mendoza is. Mendoza doesn't miss those throws, and Clint Kubiak is so smart. He's going to be able to get him in some really favorable positions, man. So I think things are looking up for you Raiders spread. This might be your last year of suffering over there. What was your favorite off-season free agency move, Raheem?
Honestly, I think it was the 2 we just named. Like, I really liked the Kyler Murray move. I thought that was the one. And then I like the Henderson move as well. I'm trying to think if there are any others that really stood out to me. I think those are my favorite 2. And then, yeah, by far.
What about you, Spread?
Obviously, Kyler's the most important because of how important quarterback is. But I think just for fun and fantasy football and just making TV more fun, Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs.
Woo!
I think that'll be interesting because I felt like
Mahomes gonna be ready for Spread.
No, he won't be back to like week 4 or 5.
But
he'll be back like he'll be back. He should be full strength by like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, but I really like that, and I think Seattle was trying to save Walker for the playoffs, and it ended up working. But I'm wondering with Kansas City, knowing that he's kind of towards the end, if they just run him into the ground and finally give us like the fantasy season that we've been waiting for with that guy since his name's Mel Tucker. Right? I always bring this up, right? How he single-handedly made the guy at Michigan State like $80 million.
Do
Because as
you
soon as he
remember
left,
how
right,
we
that
bet him
program was
Spread?
nothing.
Spread, we used to bet them every week. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We used to bet them every week.
So
Strictly
I
off
want to see
Kenneth
that
Walker.
version.
Yeah,
I want to see
strictly
that
off
version
Kenneth
of Ken
Walker.
Walker
He's
back.
that type of game changer, man. He is. So
Yeah.
that I can see that all the way, Spread. That's a great one right there. He's going to do really good over there. And then they got Eric Bieniemy back over there, which people aren't paying attention to. That's huge for their run game and their run game design, as you know.
And just for their overall thing, because we talked about it before, Reed's too cool and too fun and too hip and too chill. And let's go get a burger and barbecue, right? You need
right.
a dog that's going to get on you for being 30 seconds late to the meeting, things like that.
Yeah, he's cerebral. He's a teacher type, kind of like how Bill Walsh was. He wanted to get on the whiteboard, and that's a good thing. That was a good thing, especially for Patrick Mahomes. But I do like that move a lot. As you said, Kenneth, well, I knew he was going at the parade. That was horribly handled by their GM, man. I couldn't believe that was so bad, man. You're standing at the parade, you're drunk as hell, and of course, your star player who just won the damn Super Bowl MVP, because you don't win that game without Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
right.
And of course, he's going to say to you, hey, man, how's everything going with the contract? So he gets right on the microphone at the damn parade and says, yeah, Kenneth Walker's asking me about the contract. And I knew right then, I was like, he's gone. I was like, that's horrible by Schneider. I don't know why he did that. But whatever it is, they also lost a couple more players to Seattle, so they won't be back. They won't be as good as they were last year. They lost their cornerback. I can't believe they let go of Tariq
Woolen. Yeah,
I don't think their objective is even to win. You got to remember, they're selling the team. That's
right. You're right.
This is selling the team. So I don't even think the objective is to win. I think the objective is to cut a little salary. I mean, obviously, the salary cap in the NFL is always going up. But, at the end of the day, if you're selling the team, you're trying to make it as lean as possible.
Okay, so my favorite one is DJ Moore to the Bills. Everybody loves Josh Allen. They want to get him all the help he can get. And I've always been higher on DJ Moore than a lot of people. I think the Bears are going to miss him a lot. He opens up a lot of stuff, and he's one of those guys who knows how to get open. He knows how to play the game. He uses his speed in the correct way. Just a really good player overall, going all the way back to Carolina. He's a game breaker. So we'll see if he could be the wide receiver one that Josh Allen needs. Another interesting move, I don't know how much I like it, but it's very interesting to me, was Tua going to Atlanta. Now, we know he picked the right division because with him being a guy who needs to be in a dome, in that division, he gets, 4 dome games a year. And then the other 2 games are still mostly going to be warm weather with Carolina and Tampa Bay. So I don't know if he's going to beat out Penix. I'm sure that they'll be competing. I think Penix is probably going to be out about the same time as Mahomes, maybe a little bit more, because Mahomes is a workout fanatic and a genetic freak. So he'll be back probably faster than Penix has. And also, this is Penix's second time, I want to say, injuring that same knee, right? So we'll see how fast he comes back. But Tua might be a good holdover over there in Atlanta for them. Another thing to look at, as I said, I mentioned earlier, Malik Willis, he's going over there with Jeff Hadley. Jeff Hadley's very familiar with him because he was over at Green Bay with him. So I'm sure whoever the OC, Jeff Hadley's a smart dude. I used to bet a lot of when he was the head coach of Boston College. And I was surprised when he went to be the DC for Green Bay. And I'm like, you're going to stop being a head coach? But I guess he was like, man, I'm trying to get to be an NFL coach. And his plan ends up working fine for him is now he's got a great job. We don't want to live in Miami and be the head coach. So he's the head coach of the Dolphins, and he has Malik Willis, who he's very familiar with, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of information from Matt LaFleur, what worked with Willis, and put it in, in the playbook. So I look forward to seeing how Miami looks next year. Their defense was decent, man. Another guy, before we get to the present, Jalen Phillips. Everybody's saying, he made too much money for 5 sacks. He was hurt most of the year, man. Jalen Phillips is a game changer. So your Carolina team, Raheem, has a real defensive end over there again. The first one they've had in a long time, going back to their Hall of Fame defensive end. So, hey, man, a lot of good things coming up. Before we know it, we'll blink our eyes in August to be here, and it'll be the NFL. Let's get to the present, because right now it's March. And it's time to talk a little college basketball. We got 30 minutes, and we're going to break down all of these games so that you guys can have time to get them in and make the plays. Let's start off in the Big Ten. We got the quarterfinals. Purdue versus Nebraska. Purdue has been long-time Big Ten factor going all the way back to Gene Cady, I want to say his name was. Those guys back then, and then now Matt Painter's done a really good job of keeping them relevant. Always has a solid team over there. Facing the upstart Nebraska Cornhuskers, Spread is actually the guy who put me on this team because I wasn't paying any attention to them. As you know, when you look at Nebraska, they look like a mid-major team, right? You see them come on the court, but they can shoot the leather off the ball. Coached by one of the best shooters that we've seen to come through college basketball and the pros with Fred Hoiberg, and he has his son as the point guard, a little scrappy Sam Hoiberg. Nebraska catching half in this game. Spread, which side do you lean on this one?
Man, I'm gonna have to go against my guys this time because when we were on Nebraska earlier in the year, I kept marveling. They just kept making tough shots, right? You looked at their shot quality. They never had better shot quality. They were just able to hit a bunch of jumpers, even with the hands in their faces, and excellent shooting from behind the line. But it feels like they've kind of come back to earth and regressed to the mean a little bit. And, I don't know a lot about college basketball 5-stars in my first year, really handicapping it all together. But from what I've learned, what we can expect from Purdue is this big letdown in the Sweet 16 of the tournament or in the first 2 rounds, right? And what better way for us to get the letdown for them to have a good showing in this conference tournament, give everyone's hopes up once again so they can disappoint the way they always seem to do. No, but from a basketball perspective, it feels like Purdue, they are very inconsistent, but they are dialing in right now. I expect them to have the advantage in the paint. And then, every team seems to have the athleticism advantage against Nebraska, and I think Purdue will shoot too well to nullify Nebraska's shooting. I'm laying the floor with Purdue.
What about you, Raheem?
So you guys know I'm not the biggest college basketball guy, but I'm just looking at this line. I mean, you look at Purdue, they had lost 3 or 4. They come back and they finally look like themselves against Northwestern. They won 81-68. And this was the team who was the preseason number 1. And you look at this line and it's 4.5 in a neutral site, and the line opened 3.5. So obviously the market thinks that they're the much better team here. And you would think that most people would be on Nebraska based on how Purdue is kind of let everything down. And I assume that they are. So this kind of feels like a natural contrarian spot to take Purdue. You buy low here. So that's probably where I would go. I mean, there's also I find it interesting out here in the desert, there's a 5 in the market right now on Purdue. So I think that's saying it all.
Okay, so both of my guys, they like Purdue and they want to lay the points. Me, you know me, I'm the contrarian. I'm looking at the line like, why is that line within 2 buckets? One thing about Nebraska, okay, every team in the NCAA, you got to worry about them making shots. They're one of the few teams. I don't know why. We talked about it earlier, Spread. They make shots, man. I shoot the 3, they can stroke it, man. And I just feel like the line is telling me that this is going to be a Price Sanford game. He's going to play well. The first team Big Ten top scorer for that team plays on the wing, but they're all interchangeable. But they got 6 guys who all look the same, like white kids, 6'4", 6'5", that can shoot the hell out the 3, and they're all good, man. But then they have one brother who's absolutely just a great combo guard. He can handle the ball well. Number 10, I forgot his name. I think Williams or something like that. Number 10 for them. I'm talking about Spread. He's really good. And he's like the glue that keeps everything together for that team. I just like the way that they play in sync. And I also think it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. And I think that Nebraska feel like they let one get away. You remember, Spread, Nebraska was up 20 points on Purdue last time they played each other in the first half, and then they allowed them to come back, and Purdue got back in the game and won in overtime. So I'll take the short number right here. Purdue may win, but I think that some type of way Nebraska finds a way to cover this game. Some guys that I really like on both sides, man. Braden Frager, who's the freshman for Nebraska. He's the 6th man of the year in the Big Ten, and I really, really like Braden Smith. He reminds me of Peyton Pritchard. I think that any NBA team who gets Braden Smith at point guard, either going to get him in the 2nd round or as a free agent signing from Purdue, is going to get a steal. This kid is a pure hooper, and he doesn't shoot the ball like he could if he was a greedy guy. He likes to get his team involved. I want to say he went to number 5 all time in assists yesterday or something like that. But when he shoots at such a high percentage. Really good 3-point shooter. Great mid-range game where he's going to be able to pull up on a dime in the NBA and get that little midi game going. A lot like Reed Shepherd, a lot like Peyton Pritchard, man. He's a good player. So watch for him moving forward. But I'll take the points, man. I'll be the only one riding dolo on this one, and I'll take Nebraska plus the 4. Is it 4.5 now? It's 4.5 now, you guys. You got 3.5, but it's went to 4.5. Purdue will have the size, and Nebraska's going to have to rebound because that's what Purdue's going to beat them up at on the glass. All right, let's get to the next game. Starts at 3:30 as well. Let's go to SEC country in Nashville, Tennessee. We got the Alabama Crimson Tide versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is plus 11.5. A lot of points. Disrespect for that team, even though they didn't play well this year. They kind of underachieved. I'll go first on this. Me, I'm taking the points. There's no way in hell I'm laying that type of points against Chris Beard in a win-or-go-home situation. Chris Beard has been an excellent coach at Texas Tech and at Texas. This year, his team kind of got away from him. They didn't play well, but now they're listing as the finality of their college careers and their season is coming, and he's getting across to his team. He has some players over there. A.J. Storr was a really good player at Wisconsin. He also has the kid that came over from France that plays point guard, like 6'5" and very versatile. I think that they can stick with them. I think that they can play this game. I'll take first half with Ole Miss plus 6.5. I don't know if late they get tired since they played. This will be their 3rd game in 3 days. They just upset Georgia. But as I said, I like Chris Beard. Don't get me wrong. Nate Oates over at Alabama is going to keep Ferraris. That's what he's one of those guys who knows how to recruit. He got LeBaron. What's my guy's name? LeBaron Fallon over there. He's going to be a Dame Lillard type player in the NBA. He's a really good player, man. I know they got all the horses over there, but give me Ole Miss first half plus 6.5. I think that they have more to play for. We know that Alabama knows they're going to the NCAA. It's going to probably be a 2 seed or so. And I think that Beard gets the best out of his guys, at least early. So I'll take the first half plus 6.5. Who you got on this one, Spread?
Yeah, I'm going full game Ole Miss, and it sucks for me because I want to root for Nate Oates. I know the what was it, Charles Bediako or whatever. That was a little bit of a fiasco there. But what I do like about Nate Oates is he seemed to be leading the charge for tough non-conference games. He wants his strength of schedule to be number 1. And I feel like he put pressure on the other programs. And so I want it to work out for him. Unfortunately here, we talked about this before with the mid-majors fighting for their lives, right? Some of these big favorites that kind of know where their spots are, I don't want to lay huge points with them. We have an Ole Miss team that's going to be really, really motivated. And 5-star offshore, this line's moved to plus 12 now. So I like that even more.
Yeah.
But I like Alabama to get the win. 12's too much. Ole Miss, put everything on the line, and I think Alabama's going to sleepwalk to a win. So I don't think they win by double digits.
What about you? In the research on the right, and you guys, Raheem is an NBA. He's a pro better, put it like that, because like most guys, Spread used to be, and then he met me, and we became homies. Now he's walking the wild side of dealing with these amateurs.
Yeah.
But Raheem is a pro better, like most guys. He likes the NFL and NBA because it's a lot of coverage you have to do, man, to cover college sports like I do, man. Like you gotta be watching a lot of sports, man, because they got stuff going all day long. It's hundreds and hundreds of schools. So I understand why most guys concentrate on the pros. But do you have any opinion on this one, Raheem?
Yeah, I just don't see anything on this. I mean, a lot of times when I have a bet on a college game, it's just because I had some sharp information passed to me, or I flat out was just watching, and I don't have anything on this one.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get to the next one. We're going to go to the ACC semifinal game. We got Clemson coming off of a really good performance against North Carolina. They're taking on the Dukies. Duke almost loses as Florida State battles to the end. I got into it with a little kid. Every now and then I'll say something on X just to give some of my expertise and acumen. I've noticed over the years, right? We always talk about this. It's a waste of time. Like, you talking from a point of view of, like, I'm only just trying to bring something to the conversation for people to see something, and they take it and get to calling your names, going crazy, little nerds and stuff on their spazzing. But I was telling them, like, Florida State shouldn't even shot the three. And if they had, the guy forced it, he could have kicked it to the top of the key. It would have been about a 29-footer. But
I hated that. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, it's like when you're down one, you got to put pressure on the referee to make a call. It's just like we've fundamentally lost the art of playing basketball. It's like everybody wants to be like, I was so angry.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't force it. Then he got doubled the point. And instead of him kicking, he didn't come off the ball. But anyway, Duke survives. So now we got Clemson, the catch at 10.5. The game is in Carolina. So right there for both teams, going to have a lot of fans there. So who do you like in this one, Raheem?
I think you got to go Clemson. I really do. I mean, you guys mentioned the fact that you have these teams who kind of already have things decided, and they're not really playing for anything. Like Duke's probably going to be the number one seed, regardless of what they do. And they had the guy like who was it? Their point guard that's injured.
Yeah,
and it's like I think you could see how many turnovers they had against Florida State yesterday, and without that, I think it was 59-51. And then Duke goes on like a 19-2 run or something crazy like that. But without that run, FSU was kind of dominating that game for large parts of it. And, Clemson right now it just feels like they're probably going to be the hungrier team. I know they've had to play more games, but I don't think that matters as much on the college level. So I would take Clemson with the points. I don't know too much about these teams at all, really. But, I mean, that's just kind of my gut feel.
What about you, Spread?
Man, I'm going opposite here. I think one of the things about the changing landscape of college basketball, and, we didn't have enough time today. Maybe we'll discuss this during the offseason. But, me diving into this, most experts seem to think this is the weakest bubble, like, in years, right? The bottom four, when they say first four out and, the last four in. And that's because no longer, like, let's say I'm Duke and I overlook a good recruit. Before they would get developed and they would stay at the lower school. Now they just get picked away. Let me grab your guy that gets a double-double. Let me grab this guy here. And so I think the top 5 teams are just so far ahead of the rest of the teams. And congrats to Clemson for beating North Carolina, but there was 2 injuries that really, I mean, this is a loaded field. I picked a great year to start watching college basketball. What a great year. But the 2 injuries that really hurt the most to me were Caleb Wilson and then, of course, JT Top. And Texas Tech seems to be handling it a little better. And we like North Carolina's talent, right? And I remember us talking about North Carolina earlier, 5-star, and you're always impressed with their talent. But it felt like they needed Wilson to raise the floor, right? And just on their own, it just wasn't enough. It's like they had the perfect guys around Wilson to complement him and do what they needed to do, but without that big star. So I wasn't as impressed with Clemson's win. And with these top 5 teams, I just keep laying it with them because it just feels like Duke and Florida and Arizona and Michigan, they just keep covering no matter what the spread is. So I don't want to go against them. I'm going to lay it with Duke. So the other thing is, right, Ski always talks about we can't lay the points. If we can't trust them, we get stops. I mean, Duke's defense is just elite. I love the way they defend, so I can trust them.
What's the situation? Do you think we should be betting on all 4? I mean, not necessarily betting, but do you think we're going to see, all 4 number ones again? Because it kind of feels like that.
I wouldn't be shocked. It depends on do you think Houston or UConn will not be the number 1? That would be the number 2 seed that I would expect.
Whichever one doesn't win their conference.
Yeah, would be the one. Maybe Iowa State's a little live to upset the apple cart. Maybe. Mm-hmm. We talked about it before. Illinois can't get the stops, even though their offense is good enough. Virginia seems like there's just one tier too low. Yeah, I can't trust Purdue. Michigan State, same deal. Like they could maybe upset, maybe get one upset. I don't know if they make it the whole way. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's going to be super chalky like that from now on. Sports books are probably hating that. A lot of people paid for their vacation last year, huh? Yeah. Number 1 seed. Not only did they win, they were covering. That was like the chalkiest tournament I remember.
Super chalky, and it ended up coming down to I think Florida and Houston were the top 2 seeds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Too. So that was a really good year. I wouldn't be surprised those 2 could very much play again this year for the national championship. It's just thing about Houston, it's a youth movement. They're not getting enough from Uzan and then from their vets, man. Tugler and those guys. They're kind of like stepping back and letting the kids run the show, but they have to be able to like bring that veteran presence and show up to and play along with the superstar freshmen that they have in there now. But getting back to this game, man, this was a tough one for me. The reason why is great point made by Raheem. Caleb Foster is out. Another guy who's out for them that people aren't realizing is Ngabou, who's a big deal with what they do, man. Ngabou is their like stretch forward. You know, he's a guy that hits the board hard. He plays with a lot of confidence. Another big time recruit out of Virginia, man, and they need him. But what's really got exposed to me last game was Baby Boozer, the little brother that plays point. He's not that good, man, you know, and he doesn't have a tight handle. So I look at this game, the line saying take Duke, as Spread said, because one, they had the scare yesterday. John Shire does an excellent job of getting them locked in on defense and just shutting people down. But then you look at Barnwell over there for Clemson, the head coach. He's had some success against Duke in his career. So honestly, I know it sounds crazy. I think that this game is either going to be Clemson money line winning or Duke on a blowout. I don't see it falling in between. You know how it goes. You know what I mean by that, Raheem. I see it's either going to be Duke by 100, or if it's a close game, Clemson's going to win. So, because they got better guard play, way better guard play with the injury to Foster, because Foster was very important to what Duke does, because Duke has been playing over their head. John Shire needs a lot of recognition. People think because it's Duke that it's just an automatic win and it's an automatically good team, but he's done a great job of having that team overachieve this year, because look at them, they're not that talented as they've been in the past, man. Boozer's good. He's cool, but besides that, there's not anything on that team where you're going to say, oh, he's a number one pick. I don't think so. So give me that situation. I won't have an opinion. I'd say you want to do value first. So I'd probably approach it like this, guys. I'd take Clemson money line before the game starts, see what's going on. And if it's looking like Duke came to play, maybe catch Duke at 8.5 or 9.5, So that's my approach on that game. Here's a very difficult. When I put ACC, I apologize. Let me fix that real quick. It's not the ACC. This is going to be the Big 12 semifinals. Big 12 semifinals coming up, guys. Iowa State, one of the best teams in the country, going against Arizona, who's probably considered the best team in the country. This is going to be a good one, man. On that floor that everyone's talking about, they're upset about the floor because the floor has like some type of, they doing LED and they're saying it's slippery or something for the Big 12 tournament. Very interesting game here. And Arizona only laying 4 points. Woo.
Nah, it's 3 now. And it's
3. And Iowa State has looked really, really impressive. Iowa State is a veteran team. As you know, they have our old coach from UNLV who's went over there, and he actually replaced Nebraska's coach over there, and they're running the same stuff. He's just like Hoiberg. He kind of even looks like him. They got like some stocky little 6-foot guys and stuff. They kind of run the same stuff, man. And Iowa State is good. They got a veteran backcourt. They got, a lot of guys who've seen a lot of basketball over there. But then you got Arizona, who's really talented, super talented team over there. No weak spots. Barrios is so good, their shooting guard. He reminds me, who is it? Bradley Beal at Florida. He had that type of game. I think he's going to be good in the NBA, man. He's a difference maker. So
if the class wasn't so stacked, we'd be talking about him a lot more. If this was last year's class, I think he'd be a top 5 guy.
He's good. Someone's going to get a steal in the middle rounds when they get him, and because everyone's on Pete, of course, who's the big man. His brother Andrews Pete plays left tackle. His dad was a pro too, so he has the DNA in the name. On this one, all right, let's go with you, Spread. What do you think, man? Tough one,
man.
Right
I know we're for the underground and the underdogs, but I'm not fading these top 4 seeds here. Right. Quick look at this game. These two teams did play in the regular season. Arizona won 73-57. Iowa State 7-6 in quad 1 games this year, while Arizona was 11-2. You think, Iowa State, almost every single game they have the better offense. Not in this game. They have the 7th ranked adjusted offensive efficiency. Arizona's the 2nd. Iowa State 32nd ranked defense. Arizona 15th. Plus 2.3% rebounding advantage, plus 0.5% 3-point advantage. And what we really like when it comes to covering these short spreads, the plus 4% free throw advantage. So Like I said, I'm loving betting these underdogs here like we do in the WTA, but I'm not doing against the top 4 or top 5 teams, right? I'm not fading Florida. I'm not fading UConn. I'm not fading Arizona, and if it gets me, it gets me. But I'm going to go ahead and lay it with the Wildcats here.
This is a revenge spot right here for Iowa State, Raheem. What do you think?
So I'm looking at the number. I'm looking at the market. I got my odds screen up. And the biggest thing, like when I'm like looking at markets especially markets that I'm not really that familiar with, I always like to look at where the sharper books are booking this game. So obviously I am affiliated with FanDuel. Not that I work for FanDuel, but I do appear on FanDuel Sports Network. I have appeared on FanDuel TV in the past. FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, they're some of the more recreational books. Now, you also have books like Circa and Bookmaker, who all take pro money. And this line has been bet down from 4 to 3 to 2.5 in places. But if you look at FanDuel, you look at DraftKings, right now, they're booking 2.5. So if FanDuel and DraftKings are at 2.5, and Circa, who is taking pro money, legit pro money. I mean, Circa, you can go down Circa right now and you know what they'll take. They'll take whatever. I think that says something. Like, and I truly believe that. And Spread, he spoke about it. But if you just look at KenPom, Arizona, 7th in offensive rating. Iowa State, 23rd in offensive rating. You look at defensive rating. Arizona, 2nd in offensive rating. Iowa State, 5th in offensive rating. So to me, just the market is kind of just saying like, yo, this is a public underdog.
Yeah.
So like I kind of would just have to look Arizona's way here. And I think Spread might just be on like on the money when he says, look, they can't price these big favorites high enough. I mean, not these big favorites. They can't price these number 1 seeds and these top tier teams high enough. So I kind of like that line of thinking here.
Yeah, we all on the same side. I'm not getting in front of Arizona right now, man. Look, we always talk about good teams win, great teams cover. They're a great team. And I tell you, special teams, my other third part that I always add to is the special teams, they cover when the public's on their back. I've seen Arizona do it every week. Every week. It was like 90% of the money on Arizona when they were catching 6.5 and Pete was out and they were at Houston. I loaded up on Houston. I'm like, Houston about to beat the hell out of them. No. Arizona's different, man. They are so versatile. They got these 2 big brutes on the inside who are beating you up on the boards for offensive rebounds. And all of these guys, you got Barrios who's special at the wing, and then you have Jaden Bradley, who's just your consummate good point guard, makes smart decisions, and if it comes down to it, he can make the shot at the end of the shot clock. They're just a well put together team. A lot of foreign players who can play really good, can shoot the ball, pass the ball, play defense. I'm not getting in front of it. This is one of those games. Is both of us are all 3 of us are saying is they're trying to trap you with the 3. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona opens up a can on Iowa State, because Iowa State athletically just can't match up with them. Like, I've seen both teams play. The best players for Iowa State cannot match up. They're not even in the same tier as Arizona if Arizona comes to play. So I'm definitely going to be a huckleberry and lay 3 points with Arizona. If it's down to 3, I'm going to go hunt for that and go load up on it. There's no way I'm fading Arizona against Iowa State. I don't care how good Iowa State's been playing. It's just a bad matchup for them. And you see what Arizona has done. They beat them by 16 points. They were up 30 points first half against UCF, and UCF isn't garbage like that, bro. They beat Kansas by 23 points. They beat my Houston teams, I said, on the road by 6. They're a good team, bro, and they're hitting the stride at the right time. So we all going to be on Arizona on that one, guys. All right, let's get to the next one. ACC semis, we got Miami versus the aforementioned by spread Virginia Cavaliers. Virginia's laying 3 on this one. I'll go first on this one. I'm a diehard Miami guy because Miami's head coach is from Houston. You know, he kind of grew up around us. His older brother and I know each other. I didn't know him as much because he's a little bit younger than us, but he's done a great job of coaching over there. He comes from a long line of great basketball minds. As you know, his dad saved a lot of people in the NBA, bro. He's mentored a lot of people, helped them get off of drugs and get their life on the right path. And his son is doing an excellent job over there. He's by far, to me, the coach of the year, what he's doing with the Miami program. But even more than that, Miami has talent. Trey Donaldson, who came over there from Michigan, is a legit point guard. They're really good on the boards as well. They also got the kid that I liked a lot from New Mexico State, Washington. He's over there. He's playing the two-guard, left-handed guy with a lot of stroke, a guy who can really play, man. Give me Miami money line. I think Miami gets this one done straight up.
All right, I'm going to be quick, 5-star, because we only got 10 minutes left, and I want to get as much as we can. I'm not playing this game. If I were to do the stats like I did on the last game, it's going to tell you to take Virginia. But if you've been watching, Miami improved so much over that last month of the season. I just can't get in front of them. And like I said, Virginia doesn't fall into that protected category of the real top elite team. So I'm not getting involved. Stats say Virginia, but watching the teams says Miami, I'm staying away.
What about you, Raheem?
Yeah, 5. I think I'm just going to roll with you on this one. I don't have anything on this one. I know Virginia always feels like they have a good defense, but I never really trust the offense.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'm going to roll with you.
They're more offensive minded than usual. Let's get to the next one. Big East semis, Georgetown, old school one here, Georgetown versus UConn. UConn land 15.5. What you think about this one, Spread?
I think this one is tough because we talked about UConn being on kind of like the bubble of the number 1 seeds, giving them a little bit more incentive to try and go out and cover a spread like this. At the same time, I do think it's too many points for a UConn team that's built on defense. But really, if I'm laying, 15, 18, 19, I want one of those real explosive offenses. And when I watch UConn, there's too many lulls. And when I'm going to cover a 16-point spread or 15.5 or whatever it's at, I can't have those 3 to 4 minute. That's all it takes is just those little 2 to 3, 4 minute droughts. The game's still fine. They're still going to win by 12. Hurley's still going to be crazy on the sideline. But if I'm going to play this one, I'm jumping in on Georgetown. But I do think it's tricky because I think UConn does have incentive for the blowout.
Georgetown will cover this game plus 15.5. Ed Cooley looked up to John Thompson growing up, left a program that he had built really well at Providence to go to Georgetown and started all the way over because Georgetown was nothing when he got there. It was all the way stripped down to the bare minimum, man. And I think that they're going to cover 2 games this year. They played each other. In those games, UConn has only won by a total of 6 points. Georgetown is a really scrappy team. They're another one that they know if they lose, they're probably going home. So I think that the type of motivator that Cooley is, I think that they're going to keep it well within the number on this one. I love this bet. What about you on this one, Raheem?
So it's so funny that we're doing this game right now because I'm looking at my odds screen right now, and Georgetown plus 15.5 just got moved to 14.5. Sharp play. And I can tell you the exact time it moved. 2:49 Pacific Standard Time. It moved at DraftKings. It moved at Buckeye. It moved worldwide. So I don't know if there's even any 15.5s available. I'm seeing like all of them have been snatched up. And FanDuel is actually sitting at 13.5 with it juiced to minus 120 on Connecticut. So I think they know what they're doing on this one, especially when you look at FanDuel. I think it almost kind of feels like they're trying to bait some Connecticut bettors in. They're taking a position on Georgetown. It's a clear position on Georgetown. When you're given 13.5, the line was 15.5, and you got the rest of the market sitting at 14 and 14.5. FanDuel's clearly taking a position on Georgetown. And if FanDuel's taking a position on Georgetown and they want you on Connecticut, I got to roll with Georgetown.
Yep, but we're on Georgetown all the way around on this one. Let's get to my Houston Cougars. I don't know why the hell I put Big East. I must have moving fast. Big 12 on this one, man. Semis got Kansas versus Houston. Houston land 6. Kansas embarrassed Houston in Lawrence the last time they played. What's your thoughts on this one, Spread?
Man, Kansas is such a tough team to handicap. Sometimes Peterson sits and they look great, and you're like, oh, they're fine without him. Other times he plays, and you're like, geez, he's clearly the best player in the draft. And then sometimes they all play and nothing really works. I don't love it. I mean, of course, Houston first half's always the play, but when we're looking at the full game, I don't love it, but I'll go with Houston. But I don't love it because Kansas is so unpredictable, and they definitely do have the talent there to upset the apple cart. Definitely cover the spread, and I think they could even win straight up if Houston's not careful. So if you may, the only thing I bet was the first half, of course, because that's our bread and butter. And if you force me to play the full game, I'll lay it, but I don't love it.
Great minds think alike. I'm glad that you remembered the teaching spread because I did play the first half -3. I think they'll be really hyped for this game because they got embarrassed by them, and also because they didn't play it well yesterday. Far as the full game, Kansas can win this game, man. Bill Self is hell in the Big 12 tournament, but also Coach Kelvin Sampson is 1-2. So two really good programs right here. If you would force me for the full game, I'd probably take the 6 points. I actually got a ticket for Kansas to win the tournament at plus 1,100. It just was too much value. With them playing in Kansas City, I had to take that, but I will be rooting for my Cougs, and I did take the first half. What do you think about this?
Because Kansas ceiling, they can beat anybody. When Kansas plays their best, they can beat Arizona. They can beat Michigan.
They can beat anybody when they're playing right.
They can lose to Seton Hall too. So I mean,
they can beat anyone when they're right. When Kansas is right, they can play with everybody because they have the best player in the country. What do you think, Raheem?
So I think the approach to this game is probably similar to how you would approach Clemson Duke. Kansas money line or Houston blowout.
Right.
I think that's probably just the way to approach it. Like, I mean, just from everything I'm seeing from this Kansas team all year long, it seems like there's a Jekyll and Hyde at, and I think you're seeing that from Darren Peterson as well. So the face of their team is kind of like schizophrenic, and I think the team as a whole is schizophrenic. So I think you approach it like this could either be a blowout or outright upset win.
We're gonna go straight to the Ball Parlay. Yeah, I was gonna say we gotta run. Yeah, because let me give you mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with mine here. I'm gonna lay it with Purdue. I know that we were on opposite sides there, but I do like the way that Purdue's really come around this year. And like I said, this is gonna make their inevitable disappointment in the NCAA tournament that much more epic because that's what Purdue's here built to do. So we're gonna have a great conference tournament performance. Followed by the inevitable letdown in the big dance. So give me Purdue minus the points.
You want Purdue. Who you got, Raheem? What's your best play for the weekend?
I'm going to go with – what am I going to go with? Actually, you go first.
All right, I'm rolling with my guys. I got a ticket on them at plus 1,600 to win the Big West. That's CSUN, Cal State Northridge. I love this team. I love the athleticism. I love how they get after people. I like how they push the pace. They're going against UC Irvine. I don't know why the hell the books have them favored to win the Big West tournament. They don't impress me at all. They got one guard who can play. They play good as a unit, but they're undersized, in my opinion. I think that not only does CSUN cover the 4.5, I think the money line plus 180 is the play. And as I told you, I have them to win the Big West. You can still catch them now. They're down to plus 540. I got them at 1,600 because I watch a lot of Big West basketball, and I'm telling you, those guys can go. They got a kid from Canada at point guard who pushes the pace, strong body. He kind of sets the tone for their team. Also, Larry Hughes' kid is over there playing shooting guard, and he can really stroke it. So give me Cal State Northridge plus 4.5 tonight and money line plus 180. What do you got, Raheem?
All right, I hope I don't regret this, but I'm going to lay it with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just think this is a buy low spot on a team that's really, really been struggling. They got blown out in both LA games. They're one of the worst covering teams in the NBA at this point in time, but going up against a Warriors team that, to me, they've always kind of struggled with this Wolves team in their side. So I'm going to lay the 5, and I'm also going to grab the money line. I think this is a buy low spot. My model disagrees with this, so I'm warning you guys. This I could be dead wrong. I mean, I have this closer to 3 than I have it to 5, but I just think this is a spot where the books are saying, hey, look, it's time. So give me the Wolves.
All right, man, it's work time for us. I had to get to this TV because I'm sweating the hell out this Kim Burrell. She's trying to blow this match. She should have won the first set. She lost it out. She tried to get to a tiebreaker the second set after serving for the match and blowing it. And I'm also sweating my Vanderbilt boys. They looking pretty good right now. They up 6 points. We hate that we have to cut it short, but we're going to be back for sure next week, me and Spread. I'm going to try to get Raheem in here when this time allows him to next week so we can follow up and have more time to kind of just really flow. I see all my guys that's in the wagering world. You guys hit that like if you rock with the show. What's up, Sheen Lindsay? That's my boy. I see my boy DS Griffin here. We appreciate all you guys, man. Anything for the people before we get out of Spread?
No, man, it's good to be back and back to work and looking forward to breaking down the tournament with you next week.
Raheem, anything for the people, and also let them know where to find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on the Ringer Gambling Show on Spotify, on YouTube, and also FanDuel Sports Network. I'm going to try to keep this thing moving. Spread, nice to meet you. Salute.
Yeah, good working with you.
No doubt, man.
This won't be the last time. Hey, guys, as always, you guys know I dedicate this show to the greatest Houston sports fan I know. That's my father, John H. Lenz. I lost him actually 3 years ago today, man. So it's a sad day for me. I miss my pops. He knows that I love him dearly. His pictures all over the wall in my house, man. But most of all, he's in my heart. If you guys have parents, you're blessed enough to still have parents. Hold on to them tight, man, because time moves quick. Love them and let them know that they are appreciated. It's always us versus the machine, guys.